Well, it's a very warm welcome back to second half independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at the Gtech has just got underway. We are a few minutes behind the other games in the Premier League because we did have 7 minutes of injury time at the end of the first half. But there's also been a significant change at half-time with Brentford having to change their keeper. Thomas Szczerbakowicz is on to replace Mark Flecken. So Flecken was carrying a bit of an injury in the first half, and that has meant he's not come out for the second half. We'll go through the full teams in just a second. But West Ham have won themselves a throw level with the edge of the Brentford penalty. This is launched into the box by Tufal. Good header away by Pinnock. Loose ball here with Mbumo under pressure from Ward-Prowse. Trying to get that ball down the left-hand side. I think he has managed it, but it might have got a deflection in favour of Brentford anyway. So it's out for a throw to the beast. So it is Thomas Szczerbakowicz in goal for Brentford. To back four of Christopher Iyer, Nathan Collins, Ethan Pinnock and Vitaly Janelt. 3 in midfield, Frank Onyeka, Christian Norgard and Mathias Jensen, with Brian Mbumo, Johan Visser and Neil Maupay as the attacking three. For West Ham, it is Alphonse Areola in goal, a back four of Vladimir Tufal, Kostas Mavropanos, Naif Ogurd and Emerson. The two holder midfielders are James Ward-Prowse and Thomas Souček. The three ahead of them are Jared Bowen, Mohamed Kudus and Said Benrahma, with Mikhail Antonio as the front man. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Jack Ogalbe taking you through the action. Jack, Brentford needs to step it up a little bit, although in fairness they had a decent end to the first half.
Yeah, it was a strange first half really, wasn't it? Brentford started really well, deservedly went ahead. Then West Ham just dominated for about half an hour, but then they capitulated somewhat, and Brentford were feeling maybe aggrieved with those 3 great chances towards the end of the first half that they should have gone in level at the break. There just doesn't seem to be any sort of consistency with either side, and that's probably reflected in how the results have been this season in general.
Yes, indeed, but it does make for hopefully an entertaining second half, because both teams would have felt as though they could have scored more in the first. Brentford had those 3 shots from Mbumo, all whistling past the back post as he was trying to hit curling efforts with his left foot, and West Ham had a glorious chance when Antonio clipped the ball over the bar from just a few yards. But here come Brentford now down the right-hand side. Mbumo in towards Onyeka, back to Brian Mbumo again, under pressure, rolls it back towards Norgard, whose cross is straight onto the head of Tufal, heads it into midfield, but there's a second chance as Jensen fires that one into the box. Doesn't quite sit with Mbumo. Ayer then flicks one up in the air before Emerson gets his head on it, and West Ham just trying to calm things. That's a good clearance there from Emerson. It almost ended up like a good ball to Mikhail Antonio, but Nathan Collins just about gets his feet in order there and is able to keep the ball in possession for Brentford. So, as I say, just to run you through the scores in the Premier League very quickly, it is Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 1, Everton 1, Brighton 0, Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 0, and Wolves. So Sheffield United 0, Wolves 0. And speaking to one of our colleagues who was doing that Sheffield United Wolves game, said there really wasn't much to speak of. No real threat there from the Blades in that first half. And just as we see Brentford in a bit of possession here inside the West Ham. West Ham don't want to fall into the trap of sitting back, because they got their best results against Brentford in the first half by pushing forward. But here come the beast now with Mbumo breaking into the box, just losing his balance, and then the ball drops to Norgard, but he leans back, the Brentford captain, and his effort goes a long way over the bar.
Yeah, the Hammers need to be better there, don't they? The ball shouldn't be allowed to travel that far with Mbumo when it comes to Norgard, who kind of has a bit of a swipe at the ball, but it's clear that Mbumo is the player that West Ham are most worried about. They're getting bodies in and around him, but he still has made 3 certainly, perhaps 4 or 5 half chances as well. He's so dangerous, but so Brentford need to get him more on the ball. West Ham needs to be better defending. West Ham cannot keep the ball at the moment, Paul.
No, they can't. I mean, Antonio's still on the ground expecting a free kick for that challenge there. He's had a bit of a coming together there with Nathan Collins, but Brentford didn't really use that first ball in particularly well. It was hooked up in the air before it was cleared by the West Ham defence. It's now sort of bouncing around in midfield, and a combination of Ward-Prowse and Tufal just calm things down here for West Ham. Ward-Prowse now down the right side. A bit of a quiet first half from James Ward-Prowse. But as I say, overall, I think it's still a great signing for West Ham. And as I say, he's had some very important games for West Ham already, as Brentford now pushing forward with Maupay, but he runs straight into Mavropanos, and the Hammers once again just able to deal with it in midfield.
Yeah, he's been a good signing, hasn't he? A really sensible signing as well, I think. When you look at the money that went around in the summer, obviously different clubs shop in different markets, but it's about 35 million, wasn't it, for Ward-Prowse? And you're buying someone who's got 250 Premier League appearance. He knows exactly what it's about. Yes, Southampton went down, but that wasn't his fault. He just slotted straight in.
He did. As here come West Ham. They were trying to slot in with the third goal there. It was Bowen on the left-hand side this time with a low cross. That was also well dealt with by Thomas Szczerbakowicz with his first save since he's come on. And as I say, he's had a very limited time here at Brentford, and the fact that in an earlier League Cup game this season, it was Brentford's third keeper, Ethan Ballascombe, that's actually ended up getting the start. People were starting to wonder whether or not Szczerbakowicz may be on his way out, but he's had that appearance at Old Trafford. He's on the pitch today, and he may well be needed in the next few weeks if there is more of an injury there for Mark Flecken. 51 minutes gone on official independent off Tube Studio commentary. Brentford 1, West Ham 2. A long ball down the left-hand side. It's a hopeful ball rather than a direct pass into Johan Visser, who really saw precious little of the ball in the first half.
Yeah, he went for that overhead kick, and that was pretty much his highlight, and that didn't go in. And as you say, he struggled. That's a lovely touch by Ben Rama to set West Ham right on the attack.
Yeah, they're off down the left-hand side here with Michail Antonio up against Collins, but he skips past him, gets all the way to the byline, puts across him, but Collins wouldn't say no for an answer, just gets his body in the way and just gets that ball away from Michail Antonio. Here is Mbeumo now down the left-hand side over the halfway line. He was clattered into there by Thomas Souček, and Mbeumo isn't happy. I'm just wondering whether or not this could be a yellow card. I mean, he's down on the ground here, suggesting that potentially, well, certainly you can see David Moyes is absolutely furious there. He doesn't even think it should be a free kick, but it's going to be a booking for the Czech international.
Yes, it is. Third of the game as well. Joins Emerson and Christopher Ayer in the notebook. We're going to see it again. And Mbeumo goes past him. I mean, it seems a bit of a harsh one to me, Paul, I have to say.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is that there's a foot in from Souček, but I don't think he actually trips Mbeumo. I think Mbeumo treads on him.
That's one of those. If that went to VAR, if it was a red card, it went to VAR, that would be overturned because Mbeumo, you would say, makes the foul.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that Souček is very unlucky in the fact that it was literally, I mean, David Moyes was a couple of yards away from that challenge. That's why he was so angry. Got to be careful, though, of course. Referees have been told to be just a little bit more strict with managers and coaches this season. We've seen quite a few getting bookings and a few red cards as well for people on the bench this season. West Ham in possession now down the left is Ben Rama trying to flick that one past Ayer. Ayer then pushes Ben Rama over. He's got to be careful. He's on a booking already, the Norwegian international. That's a free kick to West Ham, right about the halfway line. Say that foul there from Ayer probably isn't enough for a second yellow, but he doesn't want to be reminding the referee too much.
That's the thing, it can be an accumulation, and David Moyes has now picked up a yellow card as well, and instead of he protests, it would be, I appreciate it's a very stressful job, but it would be nice if the managers led the way in being more respectful to referees, as you suggested, because the rules have changed.
They have. I mean, David Moyes just seemed to be put out. I don't know if he was suggesting that perhaps the other bench are able to get out of their technical box and the referee's not saying anything. I'm not entirely sure exactly what it was that Moyes got his booking for. It might just be an accumulation of complaints that he had towards the referee over a period of a couple of minutes, but he's not letting this one die. He's still having a quick word with our fourth official about this. Mr. Busby is having to listen to David Moyes now. It's a throw on to West Ham. In the meantime, his side have actually kept possession here down the left, and it's Emerson's ball into Antonio. He tries to head it on for Souček. It drops to Onyeka, just hits a hopeful ball up in the air. That's a good header from Naif Forgerd. Still bouncing around in midfield. It's Ward-Prowse's header this time, on to Collins. Taken down here by Mbeumo, and then Onyeka tries an early ball, one for Mope to chase. Very heavy touch, though, from Forgerd, and that's not even giving it its full credit. He's played that one out for a corner. We could have easily actually controlled it.
Yeah, that was a poor touch. I thought, like you, Paul, he was going to control it, and Mope didn't have the legs at all then. Again, was in such a position where he could control it and almost just run round Mope by the time the Frenchman had been able to halt his own momentum. But fourth corner of the game for Brentford, these are opportunities they need to take, because you don't often get that kind of look in the Premier League.
No, you don't, and this is a great chance now for Mbeumo from the right-hand side. It's a short ball in towards Janelt. Janelt then holds it up, back to Mbeumo, and he whips it in towards the back post. They're queuing up for it, and it's in the back of the net. And it looks like it's Nathan Collins that celebrates, but I just wonder if the final touch has actually come off for West Ham man there, because it seemed very close towards Kostas Mavropanos, and if it wasn't, then perhaps he should have been winning the header, but in any case, it's 2-2.
Yeah, we mentioned it's a stroke of luck with that corner kick, and that's poor defending by Mavropanos. Both sides have been poor defending the ball into the box. It looked to have broken down when the the corner didn't quite work out, but it's a good ball in. And Mavropanos doesn't offer anything there. He doesn't get caught underneath the ball. I do wonder if one of his teammates next to him said, don't let him jump, because he got the wrong side of Collins. Not quite sure who got the last touch.
It's Mavropanos.
It's Mavropanos.
It's an own goal, yeah.
And he just got himself in a terrible position.
It's almost like he realised as that ball was heading towards him that, oh goodness, there's a player behind me, I've got to do something with it. But it's almost like he froze and he ended up flicking that into his own net. It's very frustrating for West Ham. They've coped with a little bit of Brentford pressure towards the end of the first half, and as I say, Brentford's defensive problem started with them giving the ball away from a goal kick to a throw-on, and then West Ham scored from that. And here it was just a long ball pumped down the right-hand side, which Ogalbe should have dealt with. It went out for a corner kick, and now Brentford have equalised from that corner.
Yeah, and it's been really pedestrian and passive, hasn't it, since West Ham went ahead. They had a really good period of play, but struggled to get any sort of foothold, really. And they've done this in the past, haven't they? They've got deeper and deeper as the game's gone on, and they've invited the pressure. Brentford have taken an opportunity.
They have. It's a long ball down the right-hand side for Brentford. This time doesn't reach anyone in particular. Out for a throw to West Ham. It's Emerson's throw, but it's straight back into Brentford possession. Loose ball here, though, hooked away by Thomas Souček. Back towards the halfway line. Jared Bowen just nods it down towards Kudus, who's been tracked here by Mathias Jensen. Over towards the right-hand side, but that's been given away, and all of a sudden Brentford have got men over here. If Mope can spot players down the right-hand side, he finds Mbeumo, who gets into the box. Mbeumo then trying to thread a ball through to Visser. I thought there was enough space for Mbeumo to try and wind up a shot himself. Tried to get it in towards his Congolese teammate, but that one is cleared away, and West Ham now hold it up here with Kudus down the right-hand side. That wasn't too far away from being picked off by Visser, but a combination of Ward-Prowse and Souček keep possession here for the Hammers. It's back now with James Ward-Prowse being closed down by Johan Visser. Plays a long ball down the right-hand side, which is a good ball towards Antonio. Does well to control it. He's got Nathan Collins on his back, trying to find space for the cross. And in doing so, just flicks that ball back in towards Vladimir Coufal. And things just slow down for West Ham, but they won't mind that. The point is they've got some attacking possession here now. Kudus around 35 yards out. Plays it square now to Emerson, who holds it up and plays it in towards James Ward-Prowse. It's back on the right-hand side now as Jensen. He was a bit late. He's put the ball out. The referee has given a free kick. And Mathias Jensen not yet on a yellow card there, but he's got to be careful because that one...
How is he not on a yellow card after really that one?
Yeah. Should have been. That's a poor challenge for him, and didn't actually get a chance to see how West Ham took that free kick because they took it so quickly. We were still getting replays on the off-tube pictures that we were getting of the foul, but in any case, it's played into the box, caught by Szczerbakowicz. He hits it out quickly. Now Brentford are on the attack here with Jensen. He's 40 yards out, plays it square to Onyeka. Over to Ayer now down the right-hand side. West Ham are back in numbers. Things just slowing down for Brentford now. Collins ranging forward. He gets towards the edge of the area. He's sure that he was brought down, and quite a few Brentford players have their arms up. But Tom Bramall, who's given a few soft free kicks, but he's also let a few things go, didn't think that was a foul.
Yeah, he's let the game flow, hasn't he, Tom Bramall? It did look like a foul, mainly because the West Ham player, the aggressor, was the wrong side of the ball, and it's always tough to win it when you're in that situation. But no foul, and Brentford have had to go back into their own half.
They have, and things just slowing down here again as Nathan Collins looked up. He thought about a long ball, but West Ham are playing, I wouldn't say they're playing a very high offside line, but they're giving themselves enough of an offside there just to make it more difficult for Brentford, as Burnley have an equaliser at home to Crystal Palace. Confirm the goal scorer in just a moment. So it's just the one goalless game still in the Premier League, and that's at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United against Wolves. Still got the later game, of course, this evening on our service. It's Newcastle against Arsenal. That should be a really good game at St James's. It's back here at the Gtech. It's slow and steady possession for Brentford here in midfield, with Pinnock over on the left-hand side, back in towards Collins. He tries a long diagonal ball this time to pick out Mbeumo, and he does so really well. Here comes Onyeka on the overlap, fires that across the 6-yard box, and Visser just a little bit too short. I don't think Brentford are going to get a corner kick, though, because it looks like there was an offside in the build-up.
It was a great ball in there, wasn't it, by Onyeka? But I think you're right, he was offside, but really awkward for all the West Ham defenders going back towards their own goal, and Coufal just had to open his left boot up and hope he got enough on the ball. It was offside, though. In the end, we're seeing that it's a clear foul, isn't it? On is it Ayer or Collins by Bowen? Yeah. It's Yeah, the referee, I think, will be disappointed if he sees the replay.
Yeah, it did look to me as though that was a foul, but nothing given. And in the meantime, it's also a goal at Turf Moor hasn't been given. The goal was put into the back. The ball was put into the back of the net by Jay Rodriguez, but there's an offside in that build-up, so it's still Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 1. Man City have got their 4th against Bournemouth. From the goal scorer in just a moment as Brentford win the ball back here in midfield, and Mopé just a little bit slow to go after that. He was hoping to get a throw off the back of it, but it has come off a Brentford player last, so West Ham still in possession inside Brentford territory. Meanwhile, we're getting a double substitution here for West Ham, and it's a double attacking substitution with Pablo Fornals and Danny Ings getting ready to come on.
Yes, and Benrahma will be one of the players who would go off, I imagine, as Kudus cuts inside. He's always Ryan is well over, but Benrahma, his afternoon could be so different if Antonio hadn't took the ball off his toes when it looked like he was going to make it 3-1, and I think there's inevitable anxiety when you're playing those attacking positions, because you know at some point you're likely to be taken off, so you can't always commit to the game almost.
No, you can't, and I think particularly with both Antonio and Ings struggling for form, whoever starts for them, for West Ham, knows that they're likely not going to play the full 90 because they'll be replaced. I think I've only ever seen 1 or 2 West Ham games where both of them have been on the field at the same time. Meanwhile, it's another booking, and it's Kostas Mavropanos, who knew that Mopé was going to get away from him, and it's just a cheap yellow card on the halfway line, holding the man by the shirt there.
Yeah, he played well against Arsenal, his former club, in the week, didn't he? And he's played well in the Europa League, but he's just looked half a yard short, probably because he's not quite up to full fitness, having spent most of the time since signing on the bench, Mavropanos, and we saw for that own goal, he just wasn't quite positionally right, and it might be an area of vulnerability that Brentford are looking to exploit.
Yes, absolutely. And just say, looking at the 2 benches, it's me, Briali, Roslev, Adokun, Olagikbe, Godos, Zanka Jorgensen, and Jan Moliuk. They're on the bench for Brentford this afternoon. For West Ham, Pablo Fornals, Johnson, Mubama, Keha, Ogbonna, Ings, Cornet, Cresswell and Fabianski. You've got to say that's a strong bench for West Ham. Brentford have got a few injuries, so there are a couple of youth players and B-team players in there, but you look at that West Ham bench and it's a very experienced bench.
Yeah, when you suggest that Zuma, Paqueta and Alvarez will start every week when fit and they're absent, they've got a really good squad, haven't they, West Ham? I think the one area they are lacking in is that, a centre forward who matches the level of the rest of the squad. Antonio can be that, but he's 33 now, injury prone. We know Ings is similar to Antonio. He picks up his fair share of injuries as well, and he's not quite been able to get the game time under his belt to make the impact he would have liked, and maybe that's something that David Moyes will look at to remedy in January or beyond.
Absolutely. We mentioned Mopé not really being able to find his form after a decent start at Brighton. Well, you could say that similarly for Ings. I mean, when he left Southampton, he had a few good games for Villa, scored a couple of great goals, but then sort of fell out, had a few injuries, hasn't really been able to recapture that form since. And of course, time is never on the side of a striker either, as Antonio is brought down by Christopher Ayer. He's got to be careful. That's 2 fouls that the Norwegian's committed now when he's already been booked. Yeah,
and you look at the Brentford bench and you wonder if there's a like for like. That's slow, isn't it? That's tired by Ayer as much as anything, and that might be an accumulation if they were to get a yellow card. And Antonio, he's going to head off for West Ham to be replaced by Ings, and almost inevitably his side Benrahma will be replaced by Pablo Fornals.
Yeah, Said Benrahma. As I say, I think would have loved to have gotten that goal against his former team. By the way, he's a popular character. I can't imagine there'd be too many boos for him going off the field today. But certainly, from West Ham's point of view, this is a great opportunity now for this free kick after that foul from Ayer. It's Ward-Prowse's ball in. But it's Ayer who got himself into the right position, heads it back into midfield. Soufal finding Kudus here down the right-hand side. Left-footed cross into the box. It's headed across the penalty area. Drops to Fornals, who flicks it up, tees himself up. No, he plays it across the 6-yard box, and it's away for a corner kick.
Yeah, good play, wasn't that, by Fornals, fresh off the bench. Player tried to anticipate the block. He just chipped it over him. Nice chest control. Got past Mbumu. And then Norgard, it doesn't matter how you get it out, he did get it out in the end, it'll be a corner kick.
Chance now for a ball to be whipped in from the left-hand side. To see how West Ham set up for this corner kick. Plenty of players on the line. Strakosha, similarly to his number 1 keeper, isn't the best off crosses, and that ball into the box suggests it. I mean, it was only at the edge of the 6-yard box. Szczerbakowicz never even made an attempt to go after it. Kostas keeps it in play down the right-hand side. There was that first cross, went right through the penalty area. It's now back with Coufal. Coufal trying a deep cross into the penalty area. It's headed up in the air by Collins. Again, very static from the goalkeeper before it's finally volleyed clear by Janelt up towards the halfway line, where Emerson had stayed back with Coufal. But now West Ham could be caught out because Brentford are on the counter, and Johan Visser brings the ball forward. He's got to try and switch play. It's a poor pass, though. It was far too telegraphed. Mavropanos could see that. He gets a touch on it, and Brentford's very small consolation prize is a throw on level with the edge of the area.
Yeah, it was well played by Mavropanos, and maybe could have been a first-time ball towards Norgard, but you mentioned the goalkeeper there. The first corner, he had no intentions coming for that, and then you just kind of seemed to be scrambling either way there. He didn't convince at all.
Wasn't convincing from Szczerbakowicz. Of course, that sort of that match pace and that sort of adrenaline. If you're a keeper that doesn't play, you probably do need a little bit of time just to get into that. But the defenders do need some sort of confidence boost, and we're going to see a long throw here from Mathias Jensen. Winding up for a long throw into the box, puts a lot of height on that one as well. It's flicked on by Pinnock, and it may drop it. It's a Mopé who hits it. It's blocked on the line. Second effort could have dropped to Pinnock, but it's Kostas. Then it's volleyed towards goal by Janelt. Too many bodies in the way before Mbeumo hits the deck. There was no foul on him there, though, but that's really good work from Janelt to win the ball back for Brentford, although West Ham have pushed out with their offside, so the Bees are forced back into their own half anyway. But it was a bit of a mad scramble there. Szczerbakowicz now trying a quarterback style pass even towards the left-hand side, headed on by Pinnock, who was still coming back after that Brentford attack. But in the end, West Ham have been able to weather that storm. And Brentford come again here now with Mopé down the left-hand side, getting away from Ward-Prowse, playing that one in towards Norgard, back to Mopé. 3 players in the penalty area. One of them is Aya, who still stayed up there after the initial throw-on. It's now back with Mathias Jensen. Sheffield United have taken the lead at home to Wolves. That could be massive for the Blades if they can hold on. Just waiting for a confirmation of the goal score. In fact, I can confirm it was Cameron Archer with the goal. And we'll come back to that in a moment, maybe, because here we come. Brentford again, a ball into the box this time. It's easily swept away by Mavropanos.
Yes, helter-skelter and a bit last-ditch at times from West Ham there. And Brentford seem quite happy on the ball. They seem to be moving a bit quicker, but it might be a case of West Ham getting so many bodies behind it. That's why chances are few and far between.
Here come Brentford again now with a bit of space for Whistler at the edge of the box. Gets it in towards Mopé. Mopé does have an overlap. I thought there was enough of space for him to try and do something himself there, but he played it on the overlap towards Janelt, and he was unable to keep it in play. It's out for a goal kick.
And so did actually Paul. West Ham are so deep, aren't they? We see that Mopé volley again. He struck it well again with a good block, and then back in by Janelt. It hit Pinnock, I think, more than anything. West Ham didn't have the pace to get out. It was good play by Janelt, but the chance was Mopé's, and it hits the calves of Aged. But Brentford certainly the team shading things at the moment.
Yeah, they win the ball back straight away after a West Ham goal kick, and it's now with Jensen. Plays it in towards, well, I think he was looking for Mbeumo, but Onyeka almost got in the way of that. The ball, that's finally reached Brian Mbeumo. Onyeka's gone on the overlap. West Ham have got their arm up for an offside. The offside flag doesn't go up, but it is out for a throw to Brentford right by the corner flag here on the right-hand side. These ones that are a bit closer to the corner flag, they don't tend to get long throws in from this position, but we'll wait and see whether or not Jensen... Oh, he's come back a few yards infield, which I don't think the linesman should allow, really, but it is going to be a throw on to Brentford now, and Jensen is going to launch this one into the box. So if Brentford score from this, David Moyes might have a complaint about this as well, but it's a long throw now from the Danish international. It's right onto the head of Aged. It's straight back to Mathias Jensen. Plays it short to Mbeumo. Now Jensen again with enough space for the cross. He goes towards the back post, and it's in the back of the net. And this time it is definitely Nathan Collins. He put pressure on Mavropanos, who scored an own goal to make it 2-2. But now it is the Republic of Ireland international. Again, the marking from West Ham is suspect at best, and Collins able to capitalise.
Great ball in and a great header, but poor marking from West Ham. That's basics, really, isn't it? Crosses into the box. They should be dealing with those, but it's obviously something Brentford have targeted. Great ball in deep. We see there Jensen. Why was no one marking him? Then he just gets between two defenders, neither of them who offer anything, and nods into a pretty open goal. There's nothing the goalkeeper could do. You had to say as well, Paul, Brentford deserved this the way they played in the second half, because West Ham have had absolutely no impetus at all.
No, they haven't, but I mean, as I say, in the grand scheme of things, in terms of VAR and gamesmanship and cheating on the field and referees making mistakes, a position for a throw-on isn't exactly the biggest problem on a football field, but that throw-on really should have been level with the quadrant, really, at the corner flag. Jensen took 6 or 7 steps back to allow himself more of an angle to attack the box, and from that ball in, he then got a clearance back, and he was able to cross it in for the goal. So, as I say, the West Ham won't be too thrilled about that, but I don't think David Moyes will be focusing on that. He'll be focusing on the fact that 2 defenders should have been able to get to do more to stop Collins, and there should have been someone closing down Jensen as well.
Yeah, former centre half, of course, and he might be bemoaning he's got no Kurt Zuma. That was the lunging challenge, shall we say, by Norgard, but he got the ball. It's play on. It might be a throw-in. Souček's making the point. I think Souček hesitated because he saw Norgard fly into the challenge there. Well, it might have been a free kick just for the motion as much as anything, but he did win the ball. Yeah, well, let's have a look at this. It's Emerson charging down the left-hand side. I mean, Norgard just lunges in and sort of wins the ball, and then it's Onyeka. And as I say, I think it's probably just about the right decision, but there were a couple of question marks there. Bournemouth have ruined Manchester City's clean sheet. That's about all they're going to be able to do today, you would imagine. And it's Luis Sinisterra with the goal for the Cherries. So it's Man City 4, Bournemouth 1 now. But still big wins here potentially for Palace and Everton. Palace still 1 up away at Burnley. Everton still 1 up at home to Brighton. But an even bigger result potentially at Bramall Lane as Sheffield United are 1-0 up against Wolves. But we've gone way over the 3-quarter mark here. It'll be Jack to take us through to full time. Yeah, and Boumu has it right edge of the box as well. He cuts inside. He finds Wissa. Back to Mbeumo. He dribbles, he's still going. Ooh, just couldn't, it was all so good, and I was about to say, he doesn't want it on his right boot, and he proved me right as well. He tried a little flick, played off his own shin, and out for a goal kick. Well, if he had more of a right foot, he could have taken a shot there earlier. There was a moment there where he could have tried to fire it towards goal after Wissa played it into me. Skipped past 2 West Ham players, and there's a moment there where if he had a right foot, he could have fired it at Areola's near post, but he wanted it back on his left, and in the end, in trying to do that, he plays it out for a goal kick. Yeah, I was watching a rather popular documentary at the moment about a certain former England captain. They did the replay of Maradona's goal in 1986, where it wasn't like that, but it was almost a player with not much of a left foot, but he'd do anything to get the ball into the net, and that's what he did for that goal. He just managed to work his body shape, and Mbeumo, sadly for Brentford, couldn't do it on that occasion. But it is 3-2 to the Bees, and deservedly so on the balance of play in the second half. Ayer's done really well. He's gone down the right-hand side. He'll find Wissa, and Mbeumo helps on to Ayer, who continues his run as well. Cuts back, then cuts back again, and gets the hard on Souček. Again, it's towards the back post. Janelt's there. He's winding up for it. Just a bit of interference, maybe unsighted as Soufal jumped in front, but Mopai has it for Brentford wide on the left-hand side. Ball, so I was going to say it's into the box, it's into nowhere really. Goes out for a goal kick, and an apology to everyone around him. From Mathias Jensen, David Moyes speaking to Billy McKinley. Yeah, Billy McKinley there. I thought he had that's like a sort of a mouthpiece there. They may well be they've got another one of their coaching staff in the stands somewhere watching from a slightly more lofty position. But yeah, with 17 minutes plus injury time to go, this game is far from over. West Ham had a spell in the first half where they went very quiet. Certainly at the start of the match they weren't really into it, but then they responded with a superb spell of 10-15 minutes of attacking pressure. So there's nothing to say that they can't do that again in a second half, but they've got to try and step forward and do it. They do at the moment. Brentford win 5 out of 5 against West Ham in the Premier League, as Onyeku's had a good game, just stabs it back to Collins, who dummies and goes past the man and uses those long legs to keep it in play, then pass it straight out of play. He's had a decent game. Collins, difficult season for him at Wolves last season, but obviously a favourite of Thomas Frank. West Ham do tend to have someone in the stands. It used to be Stuart Pearce's role. Looking down, I think it's always a good way. It used to be in fashion for the manager to do that, but I think it's always a good way, an alternative view, because you can slam the right back for giving a goal away, but what was the right winger doing and all those kind of things?
No, absolutely, and it does actually. I think it was so early 2000s. I remember Sam Allardyce at Bolton. He would sort of always watch the first half in the stands and then sort of come down for the second half. And there is, of course, absolutely a lot of logic to it. You don't see the entire sort of picture from pitch side, but then the flip side, of course, is a lot more difficult for the manager to get his instructions out to the players. Meanwhile, Brentford are preparing Mads Roslev, who is generally playing at right back, which would make sense, of course, with Christopher Ajer on that yellow card.
Yes, Tim Sherwood tried to bring it back while he was at Spurs. I remember him a couple of games. I remember seeing him at Benfica. In the stands, he didn't quite catch on as Ajer.
Much like Tim Sherwood's managerial career, I suppose.
Unkind. As Pinnock, I kind of opened myself up to that when I started talking about it. As Szczerbakowicz has it now. Collins, it would make sense, either a straight swap, or maybe they would go 3 at the back. Would Brentford maybe learn the lessons of what West Ham have done? They went ahead and then really sat back and invited the pressure. Brentford won't want to be doing that. But
no, I mean, they did it at Old Trafford, of course, but I think most teams would be sitting back at Old Trafford with a 1-0 lead, but they really did just attract and encourage United to attack them in the second half, which eventually United did and got their 2 late winners, their equaliser and their late winner. In terms of this game, Brentford wouldn't be advised to do that because they've already shown that they can push West Ham back and make them look very pedestrian in midfield, and if they start sitting back in their own half, then that is going to be something that West Ham will certainly try to build on.
Yeah, looking at the remaining West Ham attacking options as well, Maxwell Cornet stands out. Also got Mabama, who there's talk of him either leaving on a free transfer in the summer or leaving on loan before that. They're trying to get him to sign a contract, but no luck so far.
I'm surprised that Ben Johnson hasn't broken into the team. The few games I've seen of him, he scored an absolute world. He was away to Villa last season, and he's a player who I thought would have been sort of a regular for West Ham, but he's still mainly a bench player for now.
Yeah, because he's not signed a contract as the ball comes in. I think that's what the issue is. He's been offered one, but I don't think he's been guaranteed enough minutes, and hence why he might be looking elsewhere. But
I think that there'd be the clubs interested in him. I think there's certainly some talent with Ben Johnson.
There was, I think Everton might have had a look at him in the summer. I think clubs maybe just one batch below West Ham, where they're in the Premier League, were looking. I think he'd be a good player for someone like Brentford, because he can play everywhere, can't he?
Absolutely, and Brentford have, as I say, Ajer is a sort of centre-back who can play as a right-back and is good in that position. Roslev is more of a sort of right midfielder, has been converted into a right-back, whereas Johnson just seems to be tailor-made for that role.
A disclaimer, I'm not saying that Brentford are in the batch of clubs underneath.
No, as I say, it's a fair comment, but here come West Ham now, potentially with Bowen.
Bowen into Ings, the layout doesn't quite work out, but then Kudus gives it... Well, he gets it back. It's dinked towards the back post. Souček's arching his back, but he can't header it back. He heads it onto the roof of the net. It was all a bit tight there for West Ham. Not exactly retreating with too much enthusiasm. Is it going to be a corner kick? We'll have a look. Kudus, Souček, no, clearly it's into the roof of the net.
I landed a bit awkwardly there, the check-ins. And just confirmation now that we are going to see that change for Brentford. Christopher Ajer is off, and Mads Roslev is on. Mathias Jensen is going off as well.
Yes, he is. And
looks like it's the young Ukrainian who's going to replace him, Yeho Yarmolyuk.
Yeah, first time I've seen him. I've read that. I know that they really like him, don't they, at Brentford? He's had a spell in the B team, like a lot of the players coming through, but almost been fast-tracked into the first team picture as well. He's impressed so much. Ayer's played well, but he did get that yellow. Seemed to grow into the game almost after picking up that yellow card. Roslev will go in as right back. Just to look at the standings as things stand, Brentford, well, they would go ahead of West Ham on 16 points, into 9th in the table as well. So it's an afternoon, but they're giving the ball away. Ward-Prowse has got it off Onyeka, then drills it in at Danny Ings, his former Southampton colleague. A very unsympathetic pass, then a foul by Mavropanos on Neil Mopai. He's won some good ones for his side, just to help them move the way up the field. He looks at the defender, who should be better than that, really. He doesn't need to engage in the contact. I think everyone in the stadium would have seen him look at Mavropanos, but it looks like it could be a third straight league win for Brentford. They've got Liverpool next Sunday, then Arsenal in the 5:30 game the other side of the break. On his break off as Ward-Prowse has it now. Wide is Soufal. Bodies congregating towards the back post. He doesn't really go for the cross. He shoots. It is Kudus. Comes to Fornals, and it should be 3-3, but it's not. Similar to Mbumo, is a perfect angle for a right-footed player running onto the ball on the edge of the box, but he couldn't keep it down.
Brentford living dangerously here with almost not really much effort, just West Ham having a little bit more possession, just being a little bit more urgent. West Ham are really getting into this game, and that is a really sweet strike from Fornals. Who knows, if he was maybe a yard or two closer in, that same shot might have just been on target as it was rising. It might have just gone inside the top corner. But these are warnings for Brentford that they keep sitting back like that. West Ham are going to get more chances. Yeah,
he struck it too well, as they say. West Ham got Olympiacos in the Europa League in the week, then Forest at home, 2 o'clock next Sunday. All those games you can catch on this service. As Bowen's got inside Pinnock, he's got a man wide, and Pinnock's just bundled him out of play. And the referee obviously thought Pinnock won the ball. A shake of the head from the man next to me as Mbumo breaks down the right hand side. Rosslett's first touch back to Mbumo. Souček reads it. Fornals will bring the way for the Hammers now. Emerson wide on the left-hand side. Go on, Paul.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking I was shaking my head because I couldn't understand. The referee was almost had to jump out of the way of that foul. That's how close he was to it. It seemed like he was giving himself a quick mental replay, and Bowen was just waiting for what seemed like a fairly obvious whistle, and it never came.
Pinnock had taken a couple of yards back towards his own goal as if he was waiting for it. Fornals has it now in the centre circle. Exchanges passes with Souček, but not really going anywhere here, West Ham. Defensive shape from Brentford. Bowen dropping back. Imalyuk looks to engage him, then thinks better of it as Aged has it. Emerson on the left-hand side. Who's he got inside? He's got Souček and Aged. As I say, it's well just set up by Brentford. West Ham playing in front of them. Souček 30 yards out, central position. Bowen now dinks over the top, looking for Kudus. He's headed away by Collins. Emerson then nods it back into an area. John Mbumo there, he didn't fancy it on his right foot, did he? And he nodded it rather than took the shot on himself.
He did, yeah. And eventually it's just cleared out for a throw. But it's been a while now since Brentford have had any kind of attacking possession. West Ham really are growing into the game late on.
Yeah, Fornals getting some nice touches, but he can't find a teammate in Ings. Ings will give chase to Szczerbakowicz, who dinks it wide really nicely. Really good play by the Albanian international. He finds a colleague in Janel. Inside to Onyeka on the halfway line. And, Norgard has it. Onyeka's then fouled by Kudus, who inevitably points to where he thought Bowen was fouled. But good territory this for Brentford, just inside West Ham's half, and more importantly, it takes 20-30 seconds out of the game as well.
It does, yeah, and it just sort of slows down that momentum that West Ham have had over the last few minutes. Meanwhile, potential late equaliser at Goodison Park, and it's Kaoru Mitoma, Japanese winger playing for Brighton. They're making it 1-1 between Everton and Brighton.
Yeah, Rossleff has it now for the Bees. Nice swept ball, but Mavropanos read it ahead of Wissa. There was a late challenge. It's an advantage playing. No, it's not an advantage being played. It's going to be brought back, and there's a few despairing looks towards the officials from, well, there's not even a despairing look, a glaring look from David Moyes.
Daggers there from David Moyes. He was furious then, wasn't he?
Yeah, so Soufal helps it down the line. Well, that was the first time really West Ham have had any sort of overload on the left-hand side, and obviously it brought back. 7 minutes still to go. We got 7 minutes of additional time in the first half as well, so
I don't think, as it stands now, I don't think we're getting that much in the second half. I think 4 or 5 is about right, because obviously we've had a goal scored, a couple of goals scored. We've also had a couple of stoppages, albeit not too many injury stoppages compared to the first half. That's a very heavy touch though from Janel, and West Ham have the ball back.
Yeah, a few players have struggled with their touch. Kudus wasn't that great there as he tried to find Bowen. Well played by Pinnock coming across and hammering it out for a throw. Thomas Frank looks nervously from his technical area as Souček takes over into Bowen, back to goal. He shows too much of it to Wissa. Janel does really well to prevent it from going for a corner kick. The assistant just gave himself a second to assess the situation. It will be a throw to West Ham, who Well, Brentford are doing an imitation of West Ham at the moment by going deeper and deeper, it seems, with every phase of play. Soufal's ball into the box. Souček is there. It bounces again. It's just about away. Then a high foot, surely penalty kick.
Wow.
No, it's not going to be given. Soufal didn't win the ball, but did he duck because of Janel's foot? We'll play on though. Mbeumo down the left-hand side. Half away by Aguirre. It just finds the gap between a couple of on-rushing Brentford defenders. He needs help from Fornals, who's in his own area. He'll pass it to Kudus, who really coolly plays it to Ward-Prowse. And now Soufal will break down the right-hand side. Great feel to the game. Heading into the dying embers of it, but it's so stretched. Soufal has it. Ward-Prowse inside. Bowen takes over, gives it back to Soufal, and Souček's there as well if Bowen wants it, but might have a little look himself, Bowen. No, goes back to Souček. Ings is a somewhat isolated figure, you have to say, at the top of the field for West Ham. Bowen turns, works onto his left foot, fizzes it into Ethan Pinnock and no one else. Again now, wide to Emerson. He'll cross it in, headed on by Kudus. It bounces off a Brentford player. And it's one of those things, in the first half, you think the luck would have gone West Ham's way, it would have fallen to a Hammers shirt, but it went Brentford's way this time, and they managed to clear the lines.
They did clear their lines. Szczerbakowicz was unhappy, was pretty much crouching down to pick that ball up, but it was kicked out for a throw. Just to tell you as well that it's Bellegarde has made it 1-1 at Bramall Lane. It's Sheffield United 1, Wolves 1, and a 6th goal for Manchester City as they hammer Bournemouth this afternoon. And the 6th goal scorer for Manchester City is a former Bournemouth man, Nathan Ake.
Yaram Yukrava plays it back. It's away by Collins, helped forward into Wissa. Now Mbeumo wide left, cuts inside to its colleague Wissa. Brentford Fortuna wide. It was a Mopai who was just the wrong side almost for a right footer. Tried to fizz it in at the near post and fizzed it wide instead.
Well, cultured stuff here from the Brentford front three. I thought the way the link up from Mbeumo to Mopai and then Wissa back to Mopai, it was just inviting a strike on target, but unfortunately Mopai just goes wide.
Yeah, we're not seeing a replay of that potential high foot, so obviously wasn't enough in it as Souček works it wide to Ward-Prowse. Ings, Kudus and Fornals ahead of him. Bowen too, Soufal to the right hand side, but there's no real movement for Ward-Prowse. He picks up again from Kudus, who helps it along to Souček. Wide is Emerson. Whipped ball in, but that's, well, it's easy. I was going to say they're easy balls for Brentford to defend because they do have, while they have been poor in that situation, they do have a real height advantage. Godos is going to come on for Brentford soon, but Strakoza, easy catch for him, and again just allows Brentford to take a few seconds out of the game.
It does, yeah, but Szczerbakowicz bowls it out this time. Godos getting ready to come on for the last few minutes here for Brentford. He tends to come on either for wide players or for central midfield players, so I'm just looking. There aren't any other Brentford players on a card, so it may well be that Thomas Frank is a bit concerned about Vitaly Janel, who's not really a natural left-back, and it may be that Godos comes on for him. But just as we say that, West Ham looking to try and win the ball back here. It has gone out for a throw to the Hammers, and well, they're still very much in this game on David Moyes' side, I would say. Yes,
and they're going to have to. They wanted to get on with it quickly, but the substitution was going. Whistler, I think that is.
Whistler's a man,
yeah, he had a good game as he always seems to do, and Godos will come on for the final couple of minutes of the 90, and whatever's added on. Whistler is, you'd imagine, taking his time to get off, but you can hardly blame the Congolese.
No, I think initially the referee was asking him to sort of go off the on that far touchline compared to just across the way from the dugouts, but in the end that rule seems to have has fizzled out over the last few months.
Godos was making the point of the distance, saying you can't restart it until I get to my position as well. So Ben Mee's also going to come on eventually as throw into the Hammers. The Brentford fans are up in arms maybe about the position of where it's played, and I think that's fair enough. They've probably got about 10 yards there, but very sportingly West Ham have taken it back, thrown it backwards rather than forwards.
I think in this game Brentford can't complain about any throw-on positions, because I do think that their altering of a throw-on position allowed them to get their second goal, or their third goal even.
Okay, back to Areola, who goes long this time. Foul, I thought, by Bowen, and yes, bundles into Norgard. Just gets a, or is it Janelton's that? Just gets a sore one in the ribs, and there'll be another substitution. Are we going to have, or Brentford is going to let it go a bit longer? They've got the possession, haven't they, from this free kick? Ben Mee just receiving his instructions. Headed kick it and run out, I think, is this time in the game.
I mean, honestly, he was being presented with like a file's worth of paperwork there, Ben Mee, as to what he needs to do. He's thinking, all right, I'm going to be on the pitch for 5 minutes, guys. Just take it easy. But here come Brentford now.
Yeah, going for goal. It's comfortable in the end from Onyeka into the hands of Areola, who bowls it out to Emerson. Kudus wants it centrally, but Emerson goes backwards. West Ham's lack of a focal point has really hurt them, I think, in this second half. Palace have got a second goal away at Burnley.
They have, yeah, and it's a rare goal for Tyreek Mitchell there for Palace. So it's Burnley 0, Palace 2, and they're in the 5th minute of injury time already.
As Aged has it, we're about to see the 4th official. Aged floats it forwards. It's well away by Janelt. Goros gets a touch, and then a heavy touch by Onyeka, maybe a tired one, as he fires it out for a throw to West Ham, pretty much level with the 18-yard line. Just a 4 added on. Probably about right, actually, isn't it?
I think any less than 4, we would have said that's nowhere near enough. I think any more than 5, we would have thought it might be a little bit excessive. But another change here for Brentford now, and it's going to be Vitaly Janelt, who's been pushed off to the side here. It's almost like West Ham have suddenly decided that this go off the nearest touchline rule needs to be enforced now.
Well, I think West Ham have got a point, because
they have to, absolutely, yeah.
35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. So we're going to have a minute where that substitution is taken there, because of all the commotion, shall we say.
Are we ever going to see a stop clock in football? Because I think that would be the easiest way to fix the problem, really, wouldn't it?
I think the lunchtime kick-off would still be going on now, though. That's the problem, wouldn't it? As West Ham prepare to put it in, and Mee straight away heads the ball away. Again, wasn't in the box. He kept him back as Soufal finds Ward-Prowse, away by Mee again. Ward-Prowse doesn't beat the first man. Ross left with a good header away, but it only finds a West Ham player. As Aged, searching ball, it goes wide to Fornals. Down the line is Kudus onside. It's again a searching ball. Souček at the back post, and Mee's been on less time than it took him to come on, and he's made 3 pretty good interceptions so far. Absolutely,
he's certainly earning his place back in the team here with a cameo like this at the end of the game. He's trying to maintain this score here for Brentford with still a couple of minutes of injury time to play. Needs a good ball from Ward-Prowse for West Ham. Equally, Brentford need a good line and be able to head it away towards the back post. Souček's there, just over the head of Mavropanos. Emerson, wasteful from the edge of the box. The ball was spinning towards him. Technique wasn't there. David Moyes isn't even bothering to look. Maybe looking at the analysis in front of him, but well over by Emerson. He's got a great left foot, Emerson, and he can certainly do better than that from that sort of distance, but his perhaps body position just slightly side on. Wasn't able to get that on target, but Thomas Frank just checking something with our 4th official. And certainly, there's a minute and a half of injury time to play, but there may be an extra minute on top of that. We are getting word of a penalty at Bramall Lane for Sheffield United in the 8th minute of injury time. So, as I say, good luck in terms of the pressure there, whoever could be taking that. But here come Brentford. Yes, they do. It's Yamaniuk, the new man, isn't it? We couldn't quite work it to Mbeumo. Eventually, it gets there. He then teases it back into Mopai, then Emerson reads it, and Areola, all he can do is just tease it away as much as anything. Ings back to a teammate. Kudus is given something to run onto, but well played by Pinner, because he just comes across and calmly knocks it back to Shakoja, who's not made a save actually since coming on at half-time. That'll disappoint West Ham. I was going to say, Flecken barely made a save in the first half, but the finishing was far better from the Hammers. They got the 2 goals then, having gone behind, but 2 goals in the second half for the Bees. Look like they're going to make it 5 Premier League wins in a row and facing their London rivals. As Onyeka over the halfway line to Goros. Going to work it back to Ben Mee. And just floats it forward and out of play, in fact. Half aiming for Mopai. It's be a throw to the West Ham. They're struggling to get the ball at the moment. They've got one eventually. Fornals wide to Emerson. Can they create one more opportunity? Kudus is wide on the left-hand side. Emerson gives it to him. Bodies in the box. Not too many for the Hammers. And Brentford are getting players back. Ross left as well to hold Kudus up.
Kudus does not get the ball, and it's blocked by Rawsleff. One last throw. They played the 4. Are we getting additional time due to those 2 substitutions? Who's going to take it? Who's going to wind up and deliver for the Hammers from this throw? 2 fouls come all the way across, so they've obviously been told this is the last play of the game. Can Brentford hold out? Can West Ham get an equaliser? Long ball in by Soufal. Corner kick. No goal kick. Much to the dismay of the West Ham players. And you have to say, Paul, that is probably that.
That probably will be that. By the time the goal kick is taken, we would have had a full minute over the 4 we should have had. Referee is just checking his watch now, but yeah, it's a frustrating afternoon for West Ham, and actually thinking back at some of the other games that these 2 sides have played since Brentford have been promoted, there have been a couple of games that Brentford have been done well, but there have also been a couple of games that West Ham would have been disappointed. Now, I tell you what, is there a potential handball there against Ben Mee? The only argument I would say is that it was very, very close to him when Norgard headed it down, so that might be why they're not even having much of a look at that.
No, I don't think they will. West Ham, it's all over. I was going to refer to that chance they should have taken to go 3-1 up. It wasn't to be, though, for the Hammers. Brentford's fine run this season in recent times and against the Hammers in general continues. They've run out the 3-2 victors.